What's up, world? It's Katrina.
And Marlena, and this is Excess Baggage,
the podcast where two friends in their 30s unpack all of life's baggage. This episode, we will be unpacking selfishness versus selflessness.
Okay, let's start the show.
Hey!
What up, what up, what up? Or should I say, welcome back.
Yes,
welcome back again.
Again. I am back to the state of California again.
Yes.
I was gone for a little bit. I feel like this is becoming like an every other episode thing.
I know, man. I hope next episode I'm somewhere. Well, actually, I won't be. I'll still be there. But it would be nice to be whisked away, just, at a moment's notice. But, a girl can dream.
Yeah. Well, if you get whisked away, we probably won't be recording while you're there.
Oh, no. Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
No.
Maybe.
If you're being whisked away, girl, you better be on that vacation on somebody's beach with everything off.
No, I know, but I might call and we could do a little a shorter episode. I might be on the beach. It might be terrible audio, but at least you'll hear my voice.
So why? For what?
I mean, it's like Photoshop. They'll fix it.
Our audio guy is not going to be your friend.
No, he loves me. He loves me. I don't care what you say. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I have a thought. I might go somewhere, but it probably won't be until the end of October, maybe beginning of November. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Well, I don't have any plans to go anywhere for a little bit. So
unless I drag you.
Okay, now I'm being dragged. You probably don't have to drag me, but
True.
Anyways, what's your baggage today?
I was thinking about this, and I think my baggage today is I just need to light a fire under my ass on a few things. I really I'll buy stuff that's educational for me because I'm trying to learn new things. And then I'll just sit on it for a minute and it'll be months will go by. And I'm like, you purchased this because you wanted to better yourself and you're not using the workbooks or the videos or any of the things. And so I just need to find some time for that because I feel like it'll be a good look. Number one. And number two, I'm just, always thinking, how can I get more money in my pocket so I can get out of where I'm at? Even though there's nothing wrong where I'm at, but you have goals. And so I just need to get on that. And that's pretty much it. I mean, and also I have to be okay when people ask me, am I okay? So I'm usually on the other side of that. I'm usually the one asking, checking in with my friends and my people and making sure they're good. And so when people ask me, I always am like, what do you mean? Did I say I wasn't okay? When did I say this? But if you're
no, nigga, we just asking.
But if they know me, how I think they know me, they would know that I have been kind of privately speaking of things that are bothering me. So, or things that I'm going through that I might not disclose here, but just, my circle. And so when they ask me, sometimes I get on the offense or the defense. I'm just like, what? When did I say this? So I have to just get comfortable with, recognizing that they are doing this out of, the kindness of their hearts and they're just checking in and not necessarily pointing a finger. And I think for me, I'm always in my head pointing the finger. So if somebody else is speaking something to me and I'm like, what? I left that over here in this box. I'm not dealing with that today, So I'm kind of wait, what, when did I say this, So I just need to, calm down on that front and just realize, there are good people in the world. They're not.
People love you and they just want to make sure you're all right.
Correct. Yes. But anyway, what's your baggage for today?
So because I decided that I was just going to travel the world, well, not even because what I was supposed to be doing for the last quarter of this year is cleaning up all of my business stuff because COVID really was a whirlwind in a lot of ways. And I got way more clients. I had a lot more work to do and also was more stressed, not feeling well, all the things. And so just not having the capacity to do a lot of things. So I'm behind as a business owner on all of the, not all of them, but a lot of the administrative stuff. And so my goal for the end of this year, as per a session with my therapist, was to try to catch up on some shit. So I yeah, but I haven't been doing too much of that because I've been just, running around the world. So I am working on trying to work on catching up.
I think we're both kind of in the same boat then, because while you're catching up with your business, I'm like trying to, I guess, get myself on a regimen. Like
Same.
within my work, like my 9 to 5, like I mean, I know what's going on there. I'm pretty much
Right.
attached at the hip with that situation. But when it comes to like us and even this podcast, anything, I'm just like, okay, so when do I focus more on this? And so,
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sorry, y'all, I can't get up at 5 a.m. I know
Absolutely not.
they
No.
be pushing that. And, while you're sleeping, you could be, yeah, well, guess
No.
what?
No.
I
I'm
take
going to
my
sleep.
rest very seriously, because if I'm not rested, you are not going to get in lively. You're going to get someone who's not with it. I'm just, and
Yeah. No.
I don't do any energy drinks. Sometimes I have coffee, every now and then. I'm not really a coffee drinker. Um, but so my moods, it's usually like up anyway. So I'm like, yeah, I need my rest.
Yeah.
I
No.
gotta have it.
I'm sleeping. I'm spending time on my couch just staring at the wall or in the bed, staring at the ceiling. All of those things are going to happen. So I need to figure out how to get things done around that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the basics. I'm going to get my rest. I am going to relax. I'm not going to stress myself out. And shit needs to get done. And I need to get to the point where I'm actually getting shit done because I just haven't been for a while. So that is my baggage for today and probably for the rest of the year. Hopefully, I'll be on the other end of it come 2022. That is where I'm at today.
Well, hey, you're not alone. And, I find comfort in that, because you can often be in your head a lot, just thinking like, man,
Shit, I'm really fucking this up.
am I a lazy bitch? Like, you'd be like, am I lazy? Like sometimes I think that, but I'm like, no, man, I do so many things. It's just a lot of the a lot of that time is catching up to me, all those things that
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing, and I have to remember so much shit. That's why I'm like, oh, shout out to the people who have like families and kids and all this stuff. I don't know
Right.
how y'all
I don't know
actually
how y'all running whole businesses and families.
and families, because I guess they got the calendar. Everyone has a calendar on their freaking
Calendar don't make the days longer.
That's true. And then by the end of the day, I'm sure they're
Right.
exhausted while we're
Mm-hmm.
on the couch,
Exhausted.
exhausted,
Also exhausted.
also exhausted, but in
In a different,
a
yeah.
different space of it.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
shout out to them. uh,
Absolutely.
but today's topic, or today's episode, is about selfishness versus selflessness.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've met a lot of selfish people in my life. I have, and I think it's kind of programmed me to be the other way.
Mm.
Because I have seen, I mean, and I'm not even saying in the most grandest of selfishness. I've seen like small things where I'm just like, really, you can't do that,
Mm.
And I don't even think it's like I set my boundary and this is it. It's just like a mean spirited type situation that's going on. And I feel connected to people. So I just don't see how I could be a certain way.
Sure.
towards them unless something happened to me on the other end. You know what I mean? I could see how
Mm,
my views would change if I was dealing with someone selfish and I'm just like, oh, well, fuck it. I'm not doing that. Why am I go above and beyond? But I also have conversation with myself too. Like, am I letting this person change me or change my nature? And that's where selflessness can be dangerous because then you start questioning a lot of things that while you should question, I feel the selfish people have a hint of something right in there. I mean, you should be looking out for yourself, but I just don't know if it should be in a, mean way or in a way that's not looking out for your fellow man.
right. So you're saying that you are selfless.
Yes. And I have struggled with that probably my entire life.
Mm,
Giving people my last or, being loyal, but being loyal to a fault
mm,
where it
mm.
wasn't really necessary for me to do the things that I did, but I felt like it's something in me, like I just needed to do it. So
Yeah,
there's like an attachment to that goodness or just like wanting to be that way.
sure.
Um, because I never want anybody to say anything bad about me.
Mm,
So it has been more extreme. And so I think that the most healthiest way to do it is like there has to be some type of balance between the two.
yeah. It's so interesting because as you're talking, I think I was initially gonna say that I've been selfless. And then I was thinking about it, and I've also been very selfish. I think I've been on both ends of the spectrum. And I think I forgot about that part. But I have definitely, I specifically remember being very selfless. And I think a lot of that comes from the way that I was raised. Different from you, though, because my family is very selfless. I have a lot of people, especially the women in my family, who are just givers in all the ways. And they give all the things of themselves all the time. But even some of the men in my family are that way as well. And some of them only when it comes to family, and others of them just out in the world in general. And so I think
Mhm.
I learned a lot of that trait, but it was more so from the perspective of like with the people that I love and care about. So anybody that I identified as someone that I took on as a loved one, even if it was just a friend or um yeah, friends, family members, people that I was romantically interested in, if I loved or cared for that person, I was very selfless with them to my own detriment, like even as young as like middle school. And then there were other aspects of my life or other people or situations where I was like the complete opposite, where I was completely selfish and I had no regard for the other person. And I would say that probably happened a lot in dating, if we're being honest. And that was just kind of how I showed up. Yeah, that's interesting to like reflect on now because I think I forget about those pieces where I was more selfish and I just didn't have any care. I wasn't selfish maliciously though. It was never
Right.
in a mean spirited way or anything like that. It was just like, no, it's about me. That's how I feel. And that's okay. um, but there was no consideration of the other person. It wasn't because I was being rude or disrespectful to them. It was just like it didn't matter, and that had to just be okay.
Right. And
Yeah.
I wish I had more of that. I wish I could well, not wish. I know that I can. I just need a little help tapping into that because in other ways I might be, as someone would say, fierce and, able to say and do what I please. And,
Mm,
which in retrospect, that is true. But I feel like in my personal relationships, like how you said, like anyone close to me or yeah, I've been selfless. And a lot of, I don't want to say a lot of times, but a good portion, I'll say a quarter of the times it did not work out.
okay.
A quarter of the times it did not work out. And that is a quarter that I'm like, okay, I don't want to repeat of that. I don't
Yeah.
want to repeat that because it did not feel good at all to
Mm,
recognize that someone that you were putting a lot, on the back burner, on the line, I mean, from your own personal, choices and things that,
right, right.
how I was moving, I was very selflessly. And, for them to just, shrug their shoulders like, oh, well, don't know what to tell you. That's a very like hard pill to swallow.
Absolutely.
So I don't know, man. It's hard because I'm like, I just don't want to feel guilty.
Mm,
I guess more than anything, I don't want anybody to be like, oh, wow, she's so selfish or self-centered and, she doesn't think about anybody. I would, that's just not a light that I would ever want to be painted in.
yeah.
But I mean, it does work. Now, how long it works for, I don't know.
Okay, yeah. That's true.
But I mean,
So, okay.
people get ahead in life on that track. Whether we agree with how
Yeah.
they did it or not, they do.
Yes, and on the backs of selfless people.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And I don't want to be one of the food chain that feels like I've just been ate up. All my qualities and shit's been ate up by this other person because they had the guts to be like, nah, fuck them, fam. No, it's me.
Hmm.
But it is ruthless. It can be ruthless out here. So I can see how someone could, grow that sort of like chip on their shoulder.
Right. Absolutely. And I think sometimes we do go from one end of the spectrum to the other because of that. Like I think about, to me, being selfless is a lot about not having any boundaries whatsoever. And that lack of boundaries that is at your detriment. So you're willing to give so much of yourself, regardless of the situation, well, maybe not regardless of the person, but regardless of the situation in a specific dynamic, despite how you might feel, what your feelings, your desires, your emotions, all of that is. Whereas being selfish is just considering yourself and your feelings and emotions and all of that. And when I think about that, like I think about the conversations I have about boundaries with myself, with friends, with clients. And a lot of it is like how do we land in this place of, oh, I'm just going to give everything to someone else, right? It's like, I'm not going to set a single boundary. My needs don't matter in this. It's all about your needs. And then just allowing people to continue to take from us. And then when we realize like, oh, I can have boundaries and it's okay to have boundaries, then we often go to the other end of the spectrum and we throw up walls that are really thick and steep, really high because we're
Exactly.
like, oh no, you're not going to take advantage of me no more. Like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I'm going to throw up all the boundaries.
And here enters sour grapes. That's what my cousins would call me whenever I'd get to that moment where I'm just like, fuck these people out here. When I get to that point when I put up this like huge, wall, then it's sour grapes time. And that is not a very happy person, and it's not a happy person to be around.
Right. Because you're bitter and you're angry and you feel taken advantage of. All of those things are probably true. Like you were taken advantage of, and you have a right to be angry and bitter and all of that. And at the same time, how much have you created that environment, or how much are you contributing to that environment because you continue to show up in a way that allows people to continue to take advantage of you?
I also feel
Uh-oh.
Well, for me, it has been, it's also been about winning. And this is a horrible, I'm letting y'all in on some shit, but some horrible things that I have done, not done, but to myself. Okay, so I don't want anybody to say anything bad about me. And I think I can win this person over with my kindness. That I think that my selflessness or my, I don't know, my like Mother Teresa vibes is going to, even though she had her issues, but Mother Teresa's vibes is going to win this person over. So I'm going to be so good. I'm going to be the most, all the goodness you're going to get from me, probably even more than normal because I kind of have set up this thing in my mind, well, I'm going to win them over. And that
Mm.
is no good, dude. No good.
Yeah. Because no matter what you do and how much you do, you may never win that person over. And then shit, that's a hard pill to swallow.
Yeah, it really is. And yeah, that's something I'm currently working on, you know, in therapy. Why am I so eager to show that off, but also is that just a control thing? Are you just trying to be in control of the situation, even though you know it's completely out of your control? So you're finding any way you can change it or change the narrative.
Yeah.
I don't know. That's just something that we talk about. We go back and forth, well, you know,
all day.
Where does this come? Yeah, exactly. Where does this come from? What's wrong with you, girl? You doing that?
I think for me too, what a lot of the selflessness where it often came from, because I don't know that I was winning people over, but I think there was a piece of me that felt like that was the way that you love people. And the only way that I could show and prove that I actually cared about people was in that way. So it took a lot for me to get to the point where I guess some self-worth stuff that like there are other ways to love people and there are other ways of being worthy of love than to do all the things and sacrifice yourself. And I think that's where a lot of my selflessness came in, where it was just like, and I didn't even realize, because I was also selfish in certain aspects. Like I didn't even realize that there was such a self-worth concept or issue that I was having. But yeah, a lot of that was because I didn't feel like I could show and prove, or that people would love me because I wasn't showing them love in this way. It was the only way that I felt like people would love me or that I could show love. And
right.
I'm glad I got out of that for the most part. There's still pieces of it that I'm still working on, but like, yeah, that's really unhealthy. And it was really bad. Like I specifically remember specifically or in particular in high school when it got really bad with friends that I was engaging with who were just not in healthy places, and how much of myself I was giving to and for these people, to the point where I was making myself sick, truly.
Yeah, I've been there.
Yeah. In a weird way, I feel like my career has helped me move through that, right? Like I feel like a lot of people, right? It sounds strange to say, but like I feel like a lot of people go into being a mental health therapist because they really care about people. Not saying everybody, but because they really care about people and they want to help them.
Not everyone.
Not everybody, let's be clear. But I think a lot of us go into it for that reason. And some people get so caught up in it and it's just not healthy for them. For me, it actually helped me to see and to create distance between myself and other people. And so it helped me to see that like it is okay to be of assistance with boundaries. Because at the end of the day, one, I ain't taking my client shit home. I'm just not. It didn't do anything for me. It wasn't helpful to me to go home and try to worry about these people. And I wasn't going home with them. So at the end of the day, however they choose to live outside of this therapy space is on them. And so I think it helped me to also see what it looks like to create boundaries and see what it looks like to separate yourself from people and their needs and their desires and all of that. Like I had to have boundaries in order to operate as a therapist successfully. And it has helped me tremendously in a lot of ways. I know that's not everybody's story as a therapist, but
no, it's not. No, it's not. For sure. But no, I feel what you're trying to say. Like, I don't know. And then it's just the proof of what, love means to you almost sometimes. Because I would want someone to go above and beyond for me. Right. But that doesn't mean that that's going to happen or that a person is even capable of doing that. It all stems from what their background is and where they're coming from and have they done the work. And 9 times out of 10, people aren't doing the work. So they're
Right.
just taking, basically this show, they're taking all of their baggage with them in each situation. So if they never got
Absolutely.
over, this person doing what, some selfish shit to them, they're like, oh, really? That's how it's going to be. And so that's just how they're going to operate. And it could
Yeah.
take a person a really long time to exit that,
Absolutely.
years of just failed either relationships or actually just failed relationships. And that's not necessarily romantic, just
Right.
in general,
Absolutely.
not being able to communicate, not able to, recognize that we as humans do need people. And it's
Mm-hmm.
okay to say that you need someone without it being an attack on you.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so my selflessness, while at times it can be bad, I'm also, that's why it's like I go back and forth because I want to still remain intact with my humanness and what my morals and values are, and
Right.
one of the first things, treating people how you want to be treated. But I wish there was like a comma after that,
Mm.
just like treat people how you want to be treated, comma, but also put some boundaries up, like have something there in place in case that the recipient is not able to contribute, receive. I
Sure.
mean,
Yeah.
all of those things.
See, it's funny because even your interpretation of that saying is interesting because I don't hear that as treat people how you want to be treated. I don't hear that as like overdo it. And I guess that because to me, I would want them to set boundaries for me. Like, I do want people, I would like for the people in my life who love and care about me and who I love and care about to show up for me. And in certain moments, I might want or need them to go above and beyond. Absolutely. And I never want somebody to do that at their expense. And so when I think about like treating people how I want to be treated, like I would want you to be like, yo, Katrina, that's too much because that is at my expense. I would want somebody to say that to me because then, you tripping. Like, calm down, chill out.
For
I
sure,
want,
right?
right. I want somebody to say that to me. I don't want somebody to just go above and beyond for me. I'm actually really uncomfortable with people going above and beyond for me, even if I don't know for sure that it's not at their expense or I don't know for sure that it is at their expense. Like, it's really uncomfortable for me. And so yeah, I want you to be present. I want you to show up. I want you to be considerate of me, but I don't want you to go to the point where you're like not thinking of yourself at all. I think that whole like self first is really important because selfishness is me only. Selflessness is you only. But
Right.
somewhere in the middle is me first, right? So myself first. I'm going to think about and consider my wants, needs, desires, all of the things. And then I'm going to also consider and negotiate that with your wants, needs, desires, and all the things. And then somewhere in there, I'm going to figure out how I'm going to respond or react or engage. And I think that's that balance. But it comes from thinking about my needs first, making sure I'm taking care of me first.
100. Yeah.
It's not always easy though.
No, it's not. And I wish there was like a button where I could just be like, "Whoop. I've heard all of that. It is ingrained and I'm ready to go." I just wish there
Right.
was like something, but it takes time, man. It takes so much time. And
Absolutely.
I just don't know. I just hope that I reach a happy medium, and something that I can live with,
Right.
because some people like that might be their thing and they're good with it. They're good with how it stands. And for me, it's just like, girl, like, I just don't want to. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to. I don't want to feel bad for setting boundaries. I don't want to feel bad at all. Like I just, we're only on this planet for so long, and I
Yeah.
just really want to get over that hump of just not feeling like, okay, being Marlena in the way that I am is enough. And if someone is not, reciprocal, like it's okay to just be like, okay, that's it, like it's all right, it was
Right.
nice knowing you, but this isn't gonna,
This isn't gonna work.
it doesn't match, we don't vibe.
I also want to say, because you keep saying this, and I just want to acknowledge, like, I think it's important to also recognize that setting boundaries doesn't always have to feel good. Like, there are times it still feels really hard, and I feel guilty, or I feel bad, or whatever the case may be. So that's not to say that, like, because people would say that I'm all about the boundaries these days in the last like 10 years. And that's true in a lot of ways, but that doesn't mean that it comes easily, or that doesn't mean that I don't have feelings and emotions that don't feel good when I'm doing it. And I think a lot of times we get caught up in that, like, oh, I don't want people to be mad, I don't want to feel guilty or what have you, and so we don't set the boundary, but then you end up feeling bad on the other end of it because you never set the boundary. So I think of it as like temporary discomfort, like right
Right.
now, current
Mhm.
discomfort versus this long term discomfort that's probably going to be a lot worse, because in the past, when I have done that, it has been a lot worse. And so I think of it that way. And I think when we can remember that, like, this is just the temporary discomfort that's going to make sure that I take care of me first. And yes, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable because I'm going to feel guilty or bad or whatever. There's something on the other end of it that long term is going to feel better, because long term, I'm going to be less strained. I'm going to have more capacity. I'm going to have more joy, all of those things. So, this whole idea, and I think a lot of us feel that, like, I don't want to feel guilty. I don't want to feel bad. I don't want to disappoint people. Like, sometimes you are going to, sometimes that's real. And that's just going to be the reality of it. And it's about
Mhm.
sitting with the discomfort of that. Like, the discomfort doesn't have to go away for the boundaries to take place. It is about, like, oh, I'm setting a boundary and this is really uncomfortable, and I'm gonna just have to be uncomfortable because I'm setting a boundary and I don't like doing that. But on the other end of this is going to be joy and relaxation and less nonsense.
Yeah. Yeah, I just hope I get there, because right now, every time I set this specifically about selflessness, most times when I set the boundary, I usually end up doing something that I know that I'm like, okay, now, like, we've talked about this, but I just have to get, like you said, like, this is the temporary, that feeling of just like, oh, like, I could do it. Like, I could just do it. And it's not, it's not an issue, but it's like, yeah, but it's a long-term issue if you keep doing this.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, and I'm in my 30s, man. Like, 20s, like, yeah, it was a lot of like fucking around and going out, and I'm still going out, but I mean, just there was a lot of, I don't know, I felt more, still have my issues. No, don't get me
Sure.
wrong, but it wasn't as like, okay, well, I'm moving into like adulthood, and I want to
Yeah,
make
once you hit 30,
sure.
you feel like you got to get your shit together in a different way.
Well, that, and I'm like, okay, if once I am going to settle down or start a family and all those things, I don't want to bring this same reoccurring theme into my
Exactly.
family.
You've got to get it together because life
Yeah.
is getting real.
Yeah. It's true.
Once you hit 30, you start feeling like, whew, child, come on, get it together.
I know.
We can't do this forever.
I know. I know.
Yeah.
Well, I just hope we can get to a place where we're done saying nice guys finish last. I hope we get there, because what's wrong with nice people? Like, what's wrong with nice people? And I know a lot of guys would be like, yeah, but women don't want nice guys. They want a bad boy. They want all this stuff or whatever.
That is not true. That
And
is a
that
myth. Please
it
stop
really
it.
is a myth. But I think human nature wise, we do tend to like want what doesn't want us. So that quote unquote bad guy, or that, whatever, that's doing certain things, we will stay longer, and not all of the time. But I've seen and I've done. I've seen and I've done. Like, I know that it's
Yes.
it's possible. So,
Yes.
you
Been
know,
there, done that as well. I'm going to argue, though, I don't know if that's human nature, because, again, in those circumstances, it was a lack of self worth and a lack of self love.
hmm,
And I don't know that that's human nature. I was not in tune with who I was, who I wanted to be, where I was going, and my self worth. That is where that behavior came from. For me, I don't know if we inherently just chase after things that don't don't want nothing to do with us. I feel like that is conditioned.
Probably. And a lot of, I will say, a lot of Americans are operating underneath this condition.
Let's be clear. Let's be really, really real about this. Not just Americans, women, Black women, other women of color, and people who have other intersections that are considered minorities, like LGBTQ communities and things of that nature, disabled folks, things of that nature. It is us, because we have taught and been conditioned in very different ways than a white man has about our worth.
I agree. And that's why, like, and this is why I think, like, this whole force of this generation really pushing mental health is really, really, like, important. And I just hope that it just continues, because
Absolutely.
that worth that you might not be learning, and seeing a lot of, like, whether it's in our media, whether it's in our print ads, whether it's anywhere, this just within business, within social groups. I mean, you see it everywhere. Like this, there really is, it's just a lot of trauma just going around. It's not dealt with. And I feel like we'll be much happier and much, like, I think like the whole like kumbaya of it all could be way better if we can get our shit together.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm tired of like this whole, like, it's us against them,
Yeah.
because there really is, there's no need for it. There's no need for it. Like, stay in your lane and do good unto others, man. It's not hard, I feel like. Yet we make it hard and complicated with all this other bullshit.
I'm going to say okay to that because I hear what you're saying. I hear what you are saying. And I'm going to say okay because I hear you. And I'm going to say not we, white people.
You know what the hell I'm trying to say.
I know.
Oh my God.
You mean humans, you mean society. I get it. I just want to be really clear. That's it. That's all. That was my tidbit, okay? That was
I'm real done with you right now. I'm real done with you right now.
Listen, yesterday was Indigenous Peoples Day.
It was.
No longer Columbus Day.
Okay. Oh my God. I posted this clip, right? And I posted this clip, right? And so, you know how when you're because I'm still tied to working for someone. So I can't put like what I really want to put. You gotta be classy.
Do you?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
Because
all right, sure.
I mean, because 9 times out of 10, these companies will turn around and use this against you. Whether we think it's right or not, it usually goes down like that. And guess what? That is it. While I can be clear, I don't have to be like, fuck you, motherfucker. Like I don't have to take it all the way into the deep.
Right. Yeah.
No. You know what I'm saying? Because now
if I start, quote unquote, professional.
Exactly. And if I start working and it's just, solely my, income without attachments to anything else, then by all means, I might say things a little differently, but not so, brash. So I put up this video yesterday, and it was this South African, she was an activist, she was a singer, she was a lot of things, really popular. She's like, her nickname was like Mama Africa, right? And her name's Miriam Makeba. And so she I found this clip of her talking about colonizers. And wow, it was just funny because there's a part in there when she goes, and they just came and but there was no Indians there. They were there, but it was the way she said it. And so I posted it, and then the next clip. So you know how they break it up into 15 seconds. The next clip was then she went really far into the deep end, just talking about our education and white people and what they did and all this different stuff or whatever. And I was like, okay, so I can post this up until moment. But once we get over into this, I think I might have some issues. So I cut that part out. But I could talk about this because we're on our, platform, but it's just so funny to me that I really thought about it. Like, yeah, they did. They did. I mean, I didn't think about it. I know they did fuck us over. But,
Absolutely.
there's a lot of lost souls out here. And I don't know
Mm,
if the debt could ever really be paid. But I do know
mm-mm.
that we should be getting reparations. At least that's the very that's like the very like that is the very, very bare minimum that you could do. I feel
Child.
like. I feel.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, that's not what we're talking about, but it is what we're talking about. But
Because, I mean, that's real selfish.
it is.
The shit they did was real selfish.
Mm,
Yeah. That was our whole black girl rant for today.
yeah.
Had
You
to
know,
be in there somewhere, I
had to
guess.
be in there somehow, some way, But anyway, it's just so funny because yesterday was, and even in my phone, it says Christopher Columbus Day because I don't know if they really changed it on calendars. But so I have it in there twice. Like it's in there twice. Like one where it just says it, and then the other one says indigenous. It says it, but I don't know.
Mine shows up as both as well. I don't know if I did that or if somebody else did. I don't know. But
I don't know. I think Google did it and then like the regular did Columbus. I think there's two calendars. But anyway, it's just so
there
funny. I'm
might
checking
be.
my phone. I'm like, what?
But we only recognize
Yeah,
one of
we
them.
only recognize one. So just put the one.
Delete the other.
Yeah. It doesn't even
Get
need to
rid
be
of it.
there.
We don't care.
We really don't. We really don't.
We don't care.
Anyway, just don't be selfish, all right? Try to do something nice out there. To sum it all up, just don't be an asshole. It's not hard. Like, mind your business and don't be an asshole. I mean, I don't know how hard that is. I mean, it's hard for some. I don't get it, but
Clearly.
And
on the other end of the spectrum, find some way to love yourself enough so that you do not continue to allow yourself to be walked over by these people who don't give a fuck.
Yes. Amen.
Period. This next segment is called Roses. Marlena, who would you like to give your rose to this week?
So, I'm going to give it to my meditation teacher. His name is Avery. And I found Avery, I don't know, I'm always trying to try something new. One day I was just really, really stressed out at work. And I was like, okay, I need to take a chill pill or I'm going to lose it on some people. And I started researching because I would go for walks and I always saw this meditation place called The Den. And that was actually, no, not walking. Well, yeah, on my morning walks, I do see it, but then I also saw it when I was at work because sometimes I'd have to go pick stuff up from their other location, not their location, but a place next door to it. And so I was like, oh, meditation place. So that seems nice. And so it left my mind. Like I never thought about it again. Then I saw this writer that I was really fond of named Tracy. Her last name is, I'm losing it right now, but this writer I really fuck with was having like some type of like seminar about relationships or something like that and boundaries and stuff. And it was at this place called Unplugged Meditation. So I was like, oh, remember I said I wanted to go to the Den? Well, let me just try this place Unplugged since I'm already going to go there for this event. And so I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So I went there for the sound meditation, which is lovely. Like, okay, you lay there, you kind of like zone out. You clear your mind and everything. But then this same teacher had a breathwork class. Mind you, didn't know anything about breathwork. I go in, they kind of tell you what's going on, what you need to do, and the rhythm of how you should breathe. And girl, I must have like had a breakdown in the middle of it. I mean, not even the middle. In the middle of the session. Like they don't tell you that you're like literally crying and like all this stuff is coming up or whatever, because it's just blockage of like your heart and just your spirit, everything. And so during that, because I was trying to figure out why is this man Avery's class always sold out? Like, what the fuck? What's going on with Avery? Who's Avery? So I started going to his class, and then the fucking pandemic happened, and it ended the in session classes. And so, I mean, I don't know about you, but I was a nervous wreck like anybody else during the pandemic, especially at the
Absolutely.
beginning. And so Avery decided to create this Zoom community of,
Mm,
classmates that, knew him either from Unplug or just, just knew him in general. And so there was about 60 people that just kept going on there. And I'd never met any of these people, or if I have met them or been in class, I don't know them.
right.
But every Sunday we have been doing breath work for like the last 18 months.
That's dope.
And yeah, this past weekend was also World Mental Health Day. And I really like sat down and thought about it. And I was like, man, like mental health really is health. And
Mm,
during that time when I was severely struggling because, I live alone, you live alone, I felt, although our families are here, it still was like a very scary time. You didn't
isolating.
want to
Yeah.
you didn't want to go around them. You didn't know if you get them sick. You didn't know what was going to happen. And so, it was isolating and it was awful. And so I just on World Mental Health Day, I just wanted to, or I gave my shout out to him, and I'm giving him my roses this week because honestly, like breath work, it's like my favorite time of day on the Sunday to do that, have that
Mm,
experience, connect with my ancestors, listen to my body, and kind of help, self heal a lot of the wounds that I've
absolutely.
honestly inflicted on myself. So, being able to go within and really have that experience, like I'm just thankful that he held space for us, just
Absolutely.
at at the bottom of it. I mean, he's done a lot, just speaking, nothing but positive vibes. That man is just so. And when I tell you he's zenned out, like I would love to see him like mad at least once. Not that I want to take him off of his element, but I'm just like he's just so nice. And
Mm,
such a good like you can feel his energy, even though we were on Zoom.
right.
You could still feel.
That's good. That's dope.
So shout out to Avery. And yeah, I'm gonna try to I like DM'd him actually because I told him I'm like, my job, in post production, everybody's so stressed out.
Yeah.
And so it'd be nice to have like a meditation hour or something, even if it's on Zoom, have him come. And I don't know if people would be down for breath work, but definitely sound meditation will
Right.
be nice.
Something.
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 So
Breath work might not be for the beginners for sure,
no,
but
no, no, that's
or the
not
not even just the beginners, but the people who are like resistant as well or not
right.
open yet.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
They'll be like,
That's a
wait, what do
lot.
you want me to do? And then,
Yeah.
it's a
No.
lot.
Yeah. Yeah, that can also be really hard for people who've experienced a lot of trauma because that can open up so many things.
Yeah. And then they won't
But
be able to go back to work. And then they're going to blame me. Oh no, we're not doing that.
yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
shout
Shout
out
out
to
to
him,
Avery.
Avery. I think he's from Yellow Springs, Ohio, so he's got that, small town vibe, but he be out here in Malibu, girl, though, living his best life. I'm like, okay, Avery, all right.
Good for him. And good for you for showing up every Sunday.
Yes. Only on
That's
the
good.
the times I didn't show up means I was, at brunch planning on getting drunk and I wasn't
I
going.
mean, balance.
That's still my meditation. You know what I mean?
Balance.
That's my other self-care. I had to throw those in. But other than that, for majority of the time I was there.
Oh goodness.
Anyway, Katrina, who are you gonna give your rose to this week?
Lord.
I know after I
uh,
said all that.
I'm going to give my roses to my therapy clients today. Obviously, I cannot shout them out individually. So I'm going to give a collective rose to all of them. I love my clients. If I can be completely transparent, I love my clients. I love what I do. But my current clients, but mostly overall over the course of my career, like people come into therapy ready to work, even when it's scary, even when it's hard, even when they have really tough sessions. But they keep showing it. and they keep showing up, not for me, for themselves, obviously, but it is amazing to witness. It is amazing to watch them and to witness the growth that they are experiencing. And like one of my favorite things is always, let's be clear, I don't like it necessarily when people are having challenging times. And it is amazing to witness when people have a challenging time, how they experience it and they engage with it differently. Like,
I just started laughing to myself because I was like, you said, let's be clear. And I
I want to
go,
be clear.
but wait a minute. I mean, you kind of need that because, like, that's business. That's your business, though. Like, I
Girl.
don't want that. You mean you don't want that? You want to help them heal, but I mean, you need them to have some
Yes.
problems
Yes.
in a way. In a way.
I need people to have problems in order to come to therapy. I don't need them to necessarily keep the problems.
Correct.
Also, we know that the world will always have problems. So I will always have a job. I have no qualms about that. But my job is to work myself out of a job. And what I enjoy about that is witnessing when people run up against challenges and they experience it differently and they work through it differently. They engage with it differently. They show up in a way that they didn't in the past because of all of the work that they have been putting in, because of the way that they care for themselves now, because of the shifts to their mindset that they have made, all of those things. When they come in with so much insight and stories like, oh my gosh, Katrina, you're not going to believe what I did or what I didn't do and how I showed up differently. So shout out to them because they be showing up and we all be going through some shit, but they be, they work hard. They work really hard. And I just think that they deserve the accolades because we don't always get that. So, and I know some of them be listening. So I hope they hear this.
Hey, y'all. Yeah, I'm crazy, but I know. Yeah, shout out to them.
Yes.
Keep doing the work, man, because I'm tired of unhealed people. To be honest.
Oh, Lord. This is not about you, Marlena.
I know it's not, but I'm just saying. Can we just all make a collective effort, just
to get your shit together?
Just try to be better. That's all. That's all
I
we
wish.
need. I just all we need. All we need is love. Even when love isn't enough, we still need it. Okay. So
we need love. We need healing. We need boundaries. We need all kinds of shit. But take accountability for your actions. Do your work. Handle your business.
That's all. That's it. That's all.
That's it. Well, that was another episode of Excess Baggage.
Follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Excess Baggage Pod. That's Excess Baggage POD. Be sure to like, subscribe, and review on the podcast app and Spotify.
And remember to pack light and keep it tight.
For sure.